Well, it's been an interesting start to the day, that's for damn sure. Elevate have taken their first win. Well, I don't mean their first win, the first win of the day. They're now equal first with Q confirmed. Now, what is most intriguing, apart from Guz's smile and laugh there, is the fact that 5th through to first place right now are only 2 points away from each other. And it gets even worse than that if certain games go certain ways. But Guz, we're going to be moving on to our next matchup. This one, I'm going to say it, it's tantalizing. It's Chiefs and Knights, an OS rivalry that runs quite deep.
Guess you could say it might be a bit of a barn burner, this one, Manic, and they are two old foes from OS, but so far, the Chiefs, they have been the stronger team between the two on the head-to-head. The Chiefs themselves, they're doing all right at the moment. I mean, you know, they're at the bottom of the standings, but they don't look terrible. They have the potential to bounce back. And as I mentioned, they have the head-to-head in this matchup. So if there's any opportunity for them to kickstart a really late run here in Stage 2, now is the time to really get going.
It's weird, Xenox. The last time we saw these two teams play off, it was a massive 1v3, I believe, from Worthy, who actually kept them in it to send it to overtime. Do you think that Knights are even going to give them the room to do that?
Look, I think that, you know, records are there to be broken. Knights are probably well aware of the fact that they've struggled recently against the Chiefs, and what better time than to get, you know, one back over them right now, because it would put Knights in sole top spot. But I think the biggest thing for me for the Chiefs is Fisher guy's performance. Unfortunately, right now, you know, I hate to put the spotlight on him, but he's dead last in every category for APAC South. That's not ideal, right? There's not one category there where he's like maybe slightly high. No, like they're all dead last. So if the Chiefs are going to find their first regulation win of the stage, which they're the only team that hasn't been able to do it, they need Old Fisher Guy to make a reappearance against the Knights, get the win here, and suddenly, as we've, you know, maybe already alluded to, the standings get even more closer and closer from top to bottom.
It certainly does, but a team that could jump all the way up to first place by a point clear are the Knights if they win this cleanly in regulation. Guz, is it possible, or are we going to see Chiefs just continue their form in this matchup in particular?
Well, if you've been watching APAC South, you'll know that nothing is necessarily impossible in this league, but it does look like a bit of an uphill battle. The last time these two have gone head-to-head, at least in Oceanic Nationals, which is the national tournament, the Chiefs won 8-6 in Stage 2, and in the Grand Final of OCN Stage 1, the Chiefs won that 3-1. So across those numbers, I mean, again, it is only the national program, but the Chiefs do have the upper hand. The Knights themselves, though, of course, they're tracking pretty nicely at the moment. The last few playdays have been a little bit shaky, and they've probably not had as many points bolstered onto the standings as they would have liked. But again, they are that team that does continue to just grind. They are the grinders of OS, and they continue to improve. And I expect them to put up a better result against the Chiefs tonight to what we have seen historically.
Yeah, it's a strange talking point, actually. The fact that Knights have had to go overtime and win both occasions, that's really why we're not seeing them equal first with both Q-Confirm and Elevate now. So hopefully they'll be able to buck that trend and secure all 3 points here, or at the very least 2 points. Let's have a look at the vetoes and dive into it. Xenox, I'll let you take this one. Please don't talk for the entire segment.
Oh.
It's your favorite map. It's Villa. Why have I given you the talking point first?
I don't know why you've done that, especially considering I had another point that I wanted to bring up. I guess we'll just forego that on. Chiefs had the opportunity to ban out Oregon or Villa. They've gone with Oregon. Look, everyone knows the running meme, Villa's not my favorite map, but I actually think for this matchup, I do like it here. We've obviously already seen in the past couple of days, because we've had a bit of the Super Week, a lot of Oregon, a lot of Consulate, a lot of Clubhouse, a lot of these more structured maps, and I think Villa might be able to throw up a bit of a curveball favoring Knights, right? I think Knights will be pretty happy to go over here. They've already tried Chiefs on all these other maps. It hasn't worked. We've spoken about the history, and this is probably going to be where Knights, I think, take the win and break that history. The only reason why I actually predicted Chiefs was simply because Raven wrote down Knights, and, well, you know, it's easier said than done, and just do that. Just pick against Raven.
We know that that's true. Guz, thoughts?
In terms of the head-to-head, it is a little bit interesting, mainly because Villa was the map that would have been the decider in that best of 5 for the OCN Grand Final in Stage 1. Of course, we didn't see it play. Most recently, however, the Chiefs were the team that banned out Villa in their last best of 1. They had the choice between Villa and the eventual map of Clubhouse. On this occasion, again, they APAC South. We don't see it much in OCN either. So the Chiefs, for my liking, look confident on this map, at least through the veto.
Well, that's interesting.
So we
Xenox,
both said they both look confident.
Yeah. Both teams look confident going into this one. Xenox, I'll give you the floor here. What's the win condition here for Chiefs, if there's any?
For the Chiefs, the win condition is already what I said before. It's about Fisher guy showing up. I mean, it's maybe, you know, a bit harsh on that, but I feel like when you're looking at some of his stats and you look at some of his ratings, -8 on entry, -21 KD, 0.6 rating. It's the lowest by far and away. The next kind of lowest that's in this match in particular. Well, firstly, the next lowest is not playing. The next one got benched, and the next one's Juicy, who's a whole 0.16 above Fisher guy. So I'm trying to really just get across here that old Fisher guy needs to step up. We know what he's capable of. We know what the Chiefs are capable of when they're a team and they're fit and firing all 5 players, right? So it's a team game. Right now they're playing with 4. They need their 5th to show up if they're going to be able to beat the Knights. And Juice is the other one. -7 entry, -15 on KD. One of those two is going to have to improve their entry in this game. And I think that's probably the win conditions for both teams. They just need to be better as a team, all 5, all collectively.
Well, guys, I was going to let you have an opportunity to speak, but because Xenox has taken up 20 minutes of our time, we're just going to throw it over to the wonderful casters who are ready and standing by. It is Raven and Dev. Enjoy.
Yeah, cheers, Rob. We'll just press that big red button as soon as possible. Raven, we're here. It is the second course for tonight, and I'm pretty keen for this one. It is a rematch, of course, from the OCN, where Chiefs took down the Knights very recently on the back of an insane 3-1 clutch. They didn't talk about Worthy, but I feel like he's the one that merits talking about.
Oh, I mean, yeah, Worthy's having a great stage. He's certainly a big impact player for Chiefs. He is still the 3rd highest rated player in the league, even after the Chiefs having all these losses. Tell you what, he's really a significant player in their lineup, and if he has a big game, they always have a chance to win.
So, but of course, they are going against the Knights. Dino puts his signature winky face in the chat. As the good luck have funds come out, and we go straight into this operator veto phase. Raven, anything particular you're looking out for?
On Villa, I'm going to say no. You know, like, there are some standard bans you can do. Nomad is always a great one because there are the 3 main stairwells on Villa that can be a pain to deal with flank watch on, so often you'll bring a Nomad to do that. I think that's just going to help the Knights probably try and be a bit more free on their defenses because they are the ones that banned it out. But yeah, you know, like I'd probably expect a Valkyrie, mirror ban, you know, nothing super dramatic on the defense side.
Yeah, well, of course, with those 2 operators on the attack banned out, we do leave Flores in. And so, of course, it was definitely a talking point, perhaps talk to death on Oregon just now. But, hey, he is very strong, particularly on Oregon. We'll see whether he's played here. We've seen a lot of it. I think it was Dino played it a bunch. Consulate, we saw that from him. So I would expect and hope to see Flores still present. I think he's just so powerful right now. You've got to get him in there. And look, you mentioned the Valk, pretty staple ban. That Melusi, though, not as common a ban these days since the nerfs she has received. Wasn't there a game recently, I seem to recall, where we saw a Melusi ban, and I think it was Q confirmed. They just played so aggressively into it.
Yeah, they did. Melusi bans definitely can carry a weight of significance. So there's a bit of a curious one there. But I think at the end of the day, you know, Villa is a map that can play out, but it doesn't have, you know, those significant effects that come out of the operator ban phase. Like, it can kind of slightly adjust course, but that's pretty much it. Whereas some maps, you know, taking out the combo of like a Thatcher Maverick, you know, that has a significant effect. But Villa's not so much like that. That's actually why I really like Villa. You know, I feel like it's a map that we still see so much creativity on, and some really fun, interesting strats on both sides of the table, both defense and attack.
And a lot of good drone spots. I love my Villa drone spots. Holy cow, I've got some cheeky ones on this map. So many good ones. Let's have a look at how Knights are setting up AVG. Their first defense, bit of an extension here, reinforcing the triple wall of stat. Like that you've got the Mute and the Mozzie to really just delay those drones. Mute also, I mean, isn't just Mute just such a great operator? You put down, you've got, okay, here we go. Mute Jammer on the triple wall, probably 2 over in the other side of the map to prevent the site walls from getting breached. And then you've still got 1 Mute Jammer left for drones. I mean, how good is that?
So good, some would say.
So good. I love Mute. When I was a bit of a scrub, I played Mute. It was my first operator I mained in Rainbow Six Siege back in, was it 2016?
Really?
Yeah. He's still one of my most played, actually.
Jeez. I think Capitel's mine, honestly, still.
I don't think I've ever seen you play Capital.
I feel like I haven't for ages. Anyway, as the Chiefs move on, looks like they're going to go for some interesting little vertical play. Now, Digital on the Sledge, if we cast our minds back to Tuesday, Order banned out the Sledge target ban, and they did state that. They said it was a target ban. They felt like that Digital really uses it as a bit of a crutch, and it's back on the board, so we'll see whether he has a good game, because, look, he did have a bit of a tough one on the Consulate, but this time around he's got his Sledge on the board, and they've also got this Lion to try and shut down this room, of which there are actually a few Knights players on the room.
Yeah, totally. And if Chiefs are going to go for this vertical take that you mentioned, they need to clear these two players. I think this is the read coming in from Knights. They're expecting this to be a vertical take. Digital will have to stay alive to open up those vertical lines of sight. Of course, Sledge usually for top-down vert, but in that particular room, in the library there, you can actually do vert from below with the sledgehammer if you stay on top of boxes. But still, Hayward is present here. While Josh was taken down, Hayward's really feeling that pressure at the moment. Digital not getting too aggressive, which I think is the smart decision. There's just so many angles, horizontal and vertical, for him to be aware of. And there you go! Peekaboo, says Hayward, as he finds the first of these roam hunters. And now he's looking to escape. He just barely does for a minute before God Legion can refrag.
Man was getting jackal tracked, pinged from the Lion scan. There's no way Hayward is going to get out of that one alive. And that's a good opening 2 minutes from the Chiefs to give themselves a pretty decent man advantage. It's just going to come down to how can the Knights best time delay. Sage going for a bit of a run to retake 90. That could be deadly. Seems like Vast is the only player that really could be in the line of sight of that. Still haven't really got a massive intention of exactly how the Chiefs are pushing this. Fisher's the only one lined up on study, so it makes me think that maybe they are going to rotate and try and push through what a lot of people call the Skull Door, which goes into Aviator, and maybe they're going to go for that classic Vault Plant.
Well, there is the Skull. Vast starts to push on through. He does have smokes playing the Jackal. Bit of sight info now. 20 seconds to go. And there's Fisho going down, the player that was highlighted in the pre-show, that pivotal one that hasn't really been having an impact as Chiefs would like. But now there's a 3v2 and Worthy's looking to push through the site. He's taken out. Dino looking to hold on once more in Vault. He finds his triple. And the trade comes through once again. It's a one-on-one for God Legion against Juicy. But the smoke stands safe and sound inside of Bar, and Knights do take that opening 1v1.
Man, it was actually laying safe and sound, Dev. Don't know what you were looking at. But
I don't know what I was going to go for. I think I was like standing tall, and then I was like, well, that doesn't quite work, does it?
I thought that's what you were going for, but it's all right. It's okay.
Thanks. I'm glad that you've got there to comfort me in my moment of need.
Oh, you're so welcome. But well, yeah, what I was going to say is what's not okay is, the Chiefs really kind of bundled a man advantage there. I felt like they had a pretty decent attack set up, but they just weren't able to execute on it. And I feel like that's the story of a lot of what's happened with the Chiefs throughout the stage, is they've had pretty decent setups, often with attacks and even their defenses, but they really struggle to close it out, whatever it is at the moment that they're going through. Yeah, it seems to affect them, especially towards the end of rounds. But good start from the Knights on defense on Villa.
Bit of a pause here as we sort out this tech issue, but they're looking at trophy stat next up on the docket for the Knights. Got the 6th pick from the smoke onto the Echo. Different form of plant denial, not so much area denial, but purely that plant denial, and of course the information gathering you can get along with it. Overall, I think this is a pretty solid setup on the defensive side. Aruni's just so in meta right now, isn't she? And I think she's fantastic. It's funny, like, I think on release, a lot of people looked at Aruni like, hey, yeah, she's a nice operator, but she doesn't have the best guns, and her utility, like, people were a bit iffy about, like, how much impactful it would actually be, especially at the top level. I think people are finally seeing that both of her guns are nuts, and her utility is actually really useful, especially as a kind of complement to kind of your Wamais and your Jaeger.
Yeah, look, I was going to say, both of those guns are fun to play with, like both of those primaries. I always find it really hard when I play a Rooney to decide which one I'm going to use because both of them are both equally great in different ways. But yeah, look, I'm loving all the extra play that we see Rooney get. I think she adds like a really interesting layer to defense strategies because, you know, she doesn't cut line of sight. It's not like that. It's more so, I guess they work similar in a way a Banshee works, right? Like it prevents the way in which someone would push that area in that they can't just hard push it because there's something in the way. A Banshee would slow you down, would make you think you'd have to clear it. It's the same with a Runegate. You would look at that and you'd say, okay, well, if I want to progress through there, have to use utility to clear it, or you have to decide to soak up the HP that you lose. But regardless, it does kind of change the way that sites play out like that in a similar way, or like a blend of Castle and Melusi. And I like it. I think a lot of strats built around that are really fun to watch play out.
Totally. I love Rooney. One of my favorite ops. I've been playing her a bit recently. I was always a DMR kind of guy. I just thought that first DMR on defense would be so OP. I think it's pretty well balanced, but it definitely has its strengths. But then when you try the Roni and you're like, boom, just popping headshots, oh, so perfect. But let's talk Chiefs for a minute. Now, look, not the greatest start. While they did, in theory, I guess, win that roam clear, it took them 2 whole minutes and they got a 2-for-1 trade, losing their sledge, Digital. Is that really worth it at that point? Because they didn't quite have the vertical play that perhaps they would have wanted. I think if Digital had been alive, let's say someone else had died, right? Let's say Fisher, because I don't think Fisher ended up using his Kairos pellets anyway. Digital could be downstairs, standing on those tables, sledging the roof above him, and exposing the key positions where, guess what, Juicy ended up clutching from. So I do wonder how that round might have changed if that one pivotal operator from Chiefs had survived.
Yeah, look, even the nades from Digital, I think he still had maybe at least one in the pocket at that stage. But yeah, I agree. You know, if you look about trading the effectiveness of those two players and their operators, probably would have been better to have Digital up at the end. I think time did start to get away from them as well. You know, Worthy had to make a pretty rash decision to just push deep through Classical Hall, even though he was getting smoked off. And it was really well covered from the Knights. So I just think by the time they really got set up for the execute, they'd kind of just let it get away from them. But that being said, I would say they're only about 20 seconds off the mark, maybe even 15 seconds, because you don't need a massive amount of extra time once you clear out that position down below. You know, you can just come back up red stairs, come up toms or to top of main stairs, and you kind of have the pinch positions that you already need, and that doesn't take much time at all once you've cleared out the roam and you know the on-site players haven't retaken any of those positions.
We're back in the game now. I do love that call out, by the way. Tom's probably one of my favorite call outs in the game. Top of main stairs. Write that down. Get that in the strat book, viewers. That's straight from Silex from Wildcard, that one. Actually, I think it was Diesel who originally told us that one. Wasn't it Raven?
I think it was, yeah. I think it was Diesel.
Yeah. Legends of the trade. Yeah, I innovated. I created the call out bombs. Bottom of main stairs.
So innovative, Dev. That's incredible.
I know. Oh, thank you. I knew you'd appreciate that. Let's have a look, though, Knights. Also doing a bit of an extension here, a bit of a roam on their stat defense. A couple of Rios and early util investment into study and that south side of the map. Early E1 decharge as well from Worthy.
Yeah, it's always hard to read sometimes exactly how they use. Could have just been somebody in a key position off site they were looking to shut down, or potentially he's come through living room with a lack of a drone, or it was only half drone, so just use it to try and keep a clearer picture of what might be in front. But either way, I think the line was pretty effective in round 1. Looks like something they are going to hard stick. Now, this is an interesting play from Sage. He's just hanging around in 90. Waiting for pressure. Dino is also over in that direction. And right now, the Chiefs aren't really pushing on the second floor from that side. They are down below, but looks like it's primarily going to be this main bedroom push.
I think that's the right play, especially with the amount of drone game and map control from Knights. Now, Chiefs have taken a little bit of it, and I think that they're hoping that Worthy there in Living will cut off a rotating player from Knights. He's playing very patiently, very passively. The brunt of the work and the push here for Chiefs is going to be in Fisher, God Legion, and Vast, who are really just trying to focus. Actually, God Legion is also downstairs in dining, trying to get the utility, those electric claws, off of that main wall. Digital just going for some pre-nades through the floor. I think this is a bit premature, honestly. If you're going to be clearing any positions, surely it's going to be... Oh, no, Digital! That is going to be a tough one to justify for Chiefs.
Yeah, and I feel like the Chiefs have just kind of really taken so much time on this vertical play. Not so sure it's worth it. And honestly, I mean, it already isn't worth it because they've lost Digital. And I don't know, they're really lacking progress elsewhere. Worthy really hung around a long time in living, so not sure whether they felt like there was a roamer stuck down in that position, but I can't believe it, Dev. We're just down under 40 seconds here, and Chiefs are only really starting to pressure side. A trade coming out gives them a little bit of an in, but this is really going to be a tough execute.
That said, Worthy's inside. Orion Astro now really just barely dueling this crossfire. God Legion might be able to do some work. Getting spotted by the Yokais, surely. Dino does finish off this show. Very, very difficult round for the Chiefs, and Knights make it look very easy. They have found their second defense in a row here on Villa, Raven.
Yeah, and Knights looking really good on these defenses, and conversely, I don't know, that was a really weird one from the Chiefs on the attack in that round, just really failing to get much going, so it was always going to be tough as they tried to break through to take site and get that execute happening. Not a great attack for them, but they move on, as do the Knights, to Dining and Kitchen, and this could potentially be a perfect 3-round rotation from the Knights here.
Could be. Partly looking at Knights to get that done, but also I'm kind of looking at Chiefs and being like, come on, like, you got to do something. I think that was the concerning thing about that round just gone, right? Like you said, it looked like they didn't do anything. I think what the thought process was is that they just spent the entire round looking for that one electric claw. They were God Legion downstairs in Dining, trying to make those holes, look up through the floor. That was why Digital was rotated over. I don't know, it just seemed like their problem-solving skills were not up to par there. The communication seemed a bit ineffective, inefficient. I swear that they could have just cleared off that electric claw with a nade over the top of the wall, but oh well, is what it is. Perhaps they'll have to think about that next time they attack stat. For now it is Dining, and as you said, Knights looking to make a perfect rotation.
See if the Chiefs can bounce back a little bit here and put a little bit more into these attacks. Knights not doing anything super outstanding right now, but this Mute's certainly becoming very effective. You already talked about the effectiveness of Mute in round 1. It's a persistent thing. Yep, he's very good. But I think something that does scream out to me from the Knights is they have so much intel gathering. Pulse and Echo in particular, obviously going to get that hard info, but even Dino and Hayward can act as intel gathering to an extent depending where their gadgets are placed or the utility is placed. And there's that intel gathering already working out pretty effectively. They're going to be able to calculate where exactly this Chiefs push is coming from quite easily. Juicy does continue to run around and pick it up.
That Pulse is so popular on this bomb site here, Dining, because of all the balconies right around outside the site where defenders or Pulse player can just sit so safe and get a lot of info. Also vertically, like you said, you know, that information gathering is everything. You can deliver C4 kills. But here's a nice little flank from God Legion. If unaddressed, he could really be a dagger in the back.
Could do, and that's really what they need, is they just need to find some kind of opening that really loosens up the strategy that the Knights have right now, because they're just trying to hard push into it. And as we've seen, it hasn't really worked out too effectively. UC doing a great job of denying info as well and just pulling back, not overextending. That's a big note for the Knights defense in general, is they're really not overextending at all. You're not seeing roamers throw bodies at the attack as they enter, anything like that. They're just being very patient and letting the Chiefs do what they do. And at the moment, at least, that is wasting a lot of time, but not wasting time is God Legion. He's just all up in Memorial right now.
Oh, Juicy knows it. Saw him on the cardiac sensor. Does win the fight as well. This unreinforced wall will leave Juicy very exposed. And oh, the pre-fire from Fish just misses. And while Knights have drawn first blood on the behalf of Chiefs, Chiefs do have some strong positions. Here comes the Lion's Roar. That's the spray. And Juicy down on the ground. Digital also in a strong position as the collapse comes from side, but Sage wins that fight in Pantry. 3-on-3 now. Knights have brought it back.
Hayward also, he's just progressed just outside the China doorway here, sitting under that default camera. That could really catch Chiefs off guard if they haven't got drones set up. And now as time ticks away, less than 45 seconds, Worthy has found another. They're putting themselves in a great spot to be able to close this round.
That's the C4 for Sage! He does just toss it over the dining table. And now this is so difficult for Chiefs. 2-on-2. As Worthy tries to reclaim that diffuser. Bass has to cover him, but where can Worthy plant safely? They want to find one more kill before they commit to this, but it's so hard to know the right call, to know where to plant. Vast has to cover. He's trying to watch two angles at once. Sees the player in pantry, doesn't get him, but that's a team kill! No, Sage! That could be the nail in the coffin for Knights. Jeez. Gifted around by Sage.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. I guess he knew he had to pre-fire in that direction and just mistimed it completely with Dino's run to deny diffuser. That was incredibly bad timing because it was literally about to be a denial of diffuser. But anyway, the Chiefs scraped through on that one. It was a much better attack overall from them. So, I mean, in one way, I would say justifiably they won that. But they were definitely at least half a second away from losing it. So, unlucky from the Knights there. Don't know what it is with team kills in this past 7 days, Dev, but I feel like we've watched so many.
Yeah, it's all the Aussie teams as well. Can't hold it in. I feel like I shouldn't say Aussie teams, and we do have some key players on these rosters. I believe it's just Worthy here in the lobby at the moment.
From NZ? Yeah, I think so.
Well, let's see if Chiefs can step it up when it comes to Aviator games, because, well, it did get close on the last attack round from them onto this bomb site. It was just not quite there. Ended up in a 1v1. But if you look in the, I guess, the greater overview of this game so far, right, Raven? Like, the only round Chiefs have won was that 2v2 where Sage team killed. So, in a way, Knights should be up 3-0 right now, and you'd think that they would keep pace here, that they would continue that momentum, but I do feel like, especially here on Aviator games, Chiefs, I think they can do a lot better than they did on their previous attempts.
Yeah, I think they can, because a lot of that attack wasn't that bad, really. It just came down to not having much time at the execute, which led to some really rough decisions and just a difficult time in general. So, yeah, I think they could have a good opportunity here, but Josh on a very aggressive extension all the way over towards stat, or in stat, I should say, towards the master bedroom. It's going to make it a tough time for the clear across here for Chiefs, and this could be a make or break for how this round plays out, honestly.
Tempted Excaris on the wall is going to get muted. God Legion going to make an entry. Drone right ahead. There's a Mozzie Pest on the doorway. It does get jumped over, I believe, but immediately the drone is shot. Bit of vert, I think that was. A nade, perhaps, to the floor from Digital, but there's no player waiting for it. Nice start to peel on back. I believe that nade must have been to clear the mute jammer. It does so. And now Digital starts to re-drone this forward again. Chiefs really have taken control of the north side of the map, and Knights completely retreated back.
Yeah, but honestly, I say that's pretty good from Knights there. They've burned almost half the round before Chiefs could really take that map control. On top of the fact, Chiefs have had to use some utility to deal with that. They not only used the frag grenade, but also the X-Kairos, and even a line scan from Worthy. So, you know, all that, you could say it's not for naught because they got the map control in the end, but I would say it's for naught because it didn't have that much of an impact. Sure, it cleared the Knights out, but what's it going to do now? They've got map control. They're starting to really lose time. It was pretty much the same story from round one. And I feel like this is starting to be a little bit of a repeat from what we saw in that first round. And Hayward is going below for this C4. And he no! He actually won that gunfight. That is devastating for Chiefs.
Big sigh of relief there for Hayward as well. He has been a very, very strong player for the Knights, both in here in APAC South. Currently sitting 4th highest rated, just below Worthy. That is a big pick for the implications on this round.
Yeah, huge. And now there's still so much utility ahead of them to clear on site in such tough positions. Dino in particular here is going to be pivotal. And with such little time, 30-odd seconds, Juicy, 2 smoke babes in the pocket. This is going to be a comfortable close to this for the Knights. Dino, that was a great attempt at the impact trick. Doesn't quite work out, but he downs and kills Digital.
Now Chiefs are really, really going to be asking for more. Dino is downed, but not out yet. He will be in just a moment, surely, if Worthy turns his eyes on. There you go. Plant going down. This is on Worthy and Fisho to cover. That's a perfect flank from Red. And with that, Josh straight up wins the round.
Oof. That was big from the Knights, but incredibly well played. Again, they had all the control they really needed. You know, even forfeiting that stat side to the Chiefs in that instance, it meant the Chiefs kind of had to rush the rest of the play, and you saw it there. They had to kind of really try and squeeze through and execute in a really tough situation, and by that stage, the Knights were all over it. I think that was just so well played from them, and Chiefs are really struggling with these Villa attacks right now, and they really need to try and get a stop here so the Knights don't jump out to a 5-1 half, because I think that would be quite devastating.
And totally possible as well. As we sit at the moment, it does really feel like I can see Knights just running with this advantage they have been given. The trend continues, like we said before. Only round Chiefs have won was on the back of a bit of a throw from the Knights for that team kill of Sage. And look, their stat attack was honestly probably the worst of them all so far. Let's be honest, like Chiefs were completely stumped at trying to clear the electrical. Can we try and have a look at this electrical, please? I think it's Mandy or Sky, probably Sky on Obs today. I can see one electrical just there, but that's probably only getting the far right wall. So where is the electrical going to be getting that far left wall? Is it in bathroom? It could be. No, because that wouldn't get the middle wall.
I reckon
could be
it's below. Yeah.
But I think with putting it below, right, is like that's the main way that people clear electrical. You just go downstairs.
Yeah, but it looks like they're going to hard roam it. I don't know. Let's just wait and see how they finish this setup here. Hayward certainly seems like he's keen to camp out and try and protect whatever is going on. But yeah, look, either way, it does look like those electric claws are placed in some tricky positions, which can be a real pain to deal with, and it does put more of an onus on that intel collection from the attack. So if they're not careful with these drones, it's going to be a little bit tough. But actually, Dev, they're hard pushing all the way from the Ruin side this time. Quite a change-up.
I respect the call. Look, don't know how well it'll work, especially since there is a pretty significant setup from Knights on this south side of the map. That's the thing with Knights. These defense strats are so good. That's a perfect nade, though. Gets the Mute Jammer and the Yokai drone, plus 25 HP off Dino's back. This is a pretty strong start here for Chiefs. Addressing this roam, God Legion finally finds the opening kill he has been looking for. Knights immediately have a response.
Yeah, just so many really great angles held here by the Knights where they can at least trade out this roam clear. And again, they have just burnt so much time. We're getting close to that halfway mark. Still the 4v4, but Sage is just going to creep on into the line of sight of Worthy. So now Chiefs have gained this upper hand. Josh is the last one remaining on this roam. If he is misdroned here, which he is not, he's going to be able to get out alive. But I would say that's a bit of a win there from the Chiefs.
That C4 almost destroyed the Yokai drone. Fortunately not. Does he have info for the trigger, though? Perhaps a Yokai will linger around. I think the C4 was present at Skull Door, I think. I don't think it was actually in games. As long as he has the call from one of his teammates, the player enters, he might be able to pull the trigger. That said, Digital has hunted him down and finished him off. 4 versus 2 with a whole minute left.
Yeah, it was a really good pick there from Digital because it really could have shifted tides if that C4 had been triggered and taken out, like, let's say, God Legion. Could have been in a 3v3 situation, but not the case. That being said, Juicy and Hayward both certainly capable of still landing this 2v4, especially with Yokais on the board. But there goes Hayward Dev. This is looking much better for the Chiefs.
What can you do, Juicy? 1v4. You got 1 Yokai left to your name, but must have shotgun. That's the only reason I can imagine he'd be using the bearing right now. Oh. That's a nice shot, though. Barely could see him. Surely there's a refrag to come through in just a moment. Digital doesn't actually swing it as of yet. And there's lots of info here. This is winnable. He does spot the player on for the cross, but can't take him out just yet. Does win the fight, though, onto Digital. Fisho's going to try and refrag, but the shotgun here could be deadly. Worthy has to cover, and he does.
He traded that.
My God, that was close.
Juicy traded that. That is actually incredible. That would have been the nuttiest of flicks. I wish we could have seen that to completion. Far out. That was so close for Juicy to bring that back, but not to be. Much better from the Chiefs in that round in the end. The roam clear pretty effective and just generally well covered across the map there to be able to be in that position. So, look, they could be looking at a potential 3-3 half, which would be pretty good considering that it feels like the Knights have had most of the control so far.
That said, you can never really count Knights out when a moment like that happens. I was honestly terrified for Chiefs. I was backing Juicy into that. I thought he was going to make it work. That was just so scary. As soon as Fisho was like about to peak that, holy crap, like I almost had a heart attack. Imagine Fisho swung it and died. That would have been the biggest throw I've ever seen. Yeah, that was such an effort from Juicy as well. Like, that first shot was really gnarly, you know, taking Digital as a 50-50, but then, like you said, trading with Worthy, really nuts. The bearing has had a little buff, but still, a lot of recoil behind that SMG. Massive credit to Juicy for making that look doable, and it does keep Chiefs on their toes a little bit here, Raven, because even though they had such a good early and mid-round, it just goes to show they can't sleep for even a second, because Knights will take the advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, the Knights are looking a lot more on tonight than we've seen in some recent evenings, but let's wait and see if they can continue to close this out, because the drone has spotted Hayward in this quite aggressive position down below. Again, these E1Ds from the Lion are really going to stop him from being able to be free and mobile, but they haven't been able to capitalize. And they're going to have to re-drone Hayward's position and figure out exactly where he's gone here, because he started to creep down red stairs.
Oh, I thought he was about to pick up the plan for a second.
New weapon.
Carry it around with you. I think if there was a new operator based on you, Raven, that's what he would be.
Yeah, maybe.
Pick up, collect all the plants on the map. A little bit of a hunt, though. Hayward slowly making his way back upstairs. This is a repeat here. And Chiefs just doing a bit of a sweep, making sure no rats are hanging around in the basement. Taking this vertical control now. When Chiefs did go for the master take rather than that mapped control across take, they really struggled dealing with these electric claws. So question is, will they find it? They don't have the IQ this time. They did bring it previously. And now they're just really struggling, Raven. What are they going to do about this?
I mean, what they should have done is just brought the IQ again, but that happens. Look, I don't know. I think this is where it gets really tough, right? Because these mute jammers are stopping them from getting drones through to try and find this. On top of the fact, Josh is just right here, so he's going to make sure that no drones really get a good look at the wall. I guess this is all they can do, right? It's just utility dump over the top, use the frag grenade to clear it. They've just burnt some X-Kairos. This is not too great here, but they finally have cleared the electric claws, which means they're going to be able to open this wall. But again, history repeating itself. We're under a minute, Dev. They really don't have a whole lot of time left to continue to formulate this execute.
And what that means is there's so much weight put behind these opening engagements. But the Lion is going to make this a bit easier now for Chiefs on their execute. Digital's in such a strong position as well at the top of the stairs. Ready to push on forward and start engaging these lines of sight. He can peek towards bricks. That player at the top of bricks, though, is in a really, really strong position. It is Josh. Let's see how Chiefs can make this work, though. The opening exchange is for the Chiefs. Still the player at bricks. God Legion waiting to push up. Josh fully flashed out, but not pushed as of yet, as Knights also find their first pick. Digital good for one as well. Vast makes his entry presence known, and the C4 cannot seal the deal. Vast goes for it, but Hayward can win that fight. On for the retake now. Worthy gets that diffuser planted. Digital is a lick of HP left, but Worthy can lock down that kill and lock in a 3-3 half for the Chiefs.
I did really want to bring that back, and ended up being a nice little execute there. A little tough one to see because the stun grenades and all kinds of things going on. Absolutely hectic, but at the end of the day, it has been a pretty decent progress through that half for the Chiefs' momentum. You know, they started tough. It really felt like after those first 2 rounds, even 3, because they kind of fell into that round 3 win in Kitchen. You know, those first few rounds really didn't feel that great. It felt like it was very slow and disjointed from Chiefs and their attacks, and it just felt like we were looking at, we actually significantly discussed it, that it could be a Knights 5-1 half, but they've saved it. They've brought it to be a 3-3, and I think that's like a really good result from Chiefs.
Especially because I feel like there's just been so many moments this game where we're like, yeah, wow, Knights looking so good, really cool, calm, collected. Love these strats they're bringing to the table. They've always got good ideas. We've even praised individual performance. Hayward's had a few really nice ones. Juicy had that valiant 1v4 attempt. But yeah, out of that, if you told me that it was a 3-3 half, I'd say, well, who was attacking? Because they won that half. And there you go. It's Chiefs. It's not Knights. Chiefs seem to be leading the way here in this map.
I'm really, really curious how it now goes with this switch. I mean, we haven't had a whole lot of Villa play so far this stage, so really hard to dive into stats when there's only been one map play for it so far. It doesn't really symbolize a whole lot, but it has definitely been a map that has swayed back and forth all through different kinds of metas. I'm going to look at stage 1. Overall, 55% win rate for the defense. So, it's relatively balanced in the scheme of things compared to these other maps. So, look, I think it's a telling sign, 3-3 half. We could be looking at overtime again. I don't know. We'll wait and see what this first round of this half has in store for us.
Hayward running the G36 with the Knight skin. What else would you do? They got the MP5 skin now in the game as well, but they went and banned Malusi, so I don't know what the strat was there. I'm sure that the org won't be happy about that. So, hey, you run our gun skin every round.
So what is that the strat, Dev? They're not allowed to ban Rook, Doc, or Malusi.
That's
have
it.
To keep him in.
You have to play Ash G36 and Yana G36. See, they're doing that right now. Like, literally, it is the strat. They're overcompensating now for the Malusi ban by running 2 Knight skins on the attack.
That must be it.
See, I know all the strats.
Speaking of the Knights strats, bit of a nice little split push here, and wow, God Legion very lucky to have dodged some of those bullets at least, not all of them, but looked very close to being trained in on his head. Does mean he's still alive, and that's a great little use of the hit hole there from God Legion, and just like that, the Chiefs have found the opening pick. They're going to pull away from this map control and default back to site, so good little start for them. And the Knights, well, they did struggle for the first 90 seconds, but they finally got this vertical.
A pretty big pick as well. Already mentioned Hayward a couple times, but he's currently sitting 4th overall rating in the league at the moment, just behind Worthy, who is, of course, like I don't feel like I've spoken a lot about Worthy, but man's just casually out there on 9 kills, 6 rounds in. That's the kind of man he is. Oh, Josh, what a pre-fire, what an angle. Through the couch, Digital sits back down.
Digital struggling a little bit again. Worthy, though. You want to talk about the man's name? He appears. Oh, my lord. He just gets by and he peeks it again.
Worthy.
Zyno caught sprinting. Beautiful play from Worthy. And just like that, he's given the Chiefs such a significant advantage. Josh and Juicy nowhere near each other, so they're going to have to try and split push this one out.
Just look at this. What, Fisho Guy, Vars, God Legion, and Digital. Between them, they have, let me try and do some maths on live broadcast. What is that, like 14 kills or something? Worthy is doing so much work by himself. And while Josh can find one, make it a 2v3, it's just no time left. Worthy, of course, is back on for the flank. Now a 1-on-2, though. Got to walk straight into this crossfire, Josh. As he goes deep a little bit, doesn't have that diffuser on him. Worthy finds another one! He's just so good!
He heard you say you hadn't mentioned his name much, and he was... Go, say it a bunch.
He's just so good! I'm... How does he do it?
I couldn't tell you, but he is having a great game. Continuing to have a great stage. We already referenced it, looking at the stats for the stage so far. He is top 3 in the entire league. And I just got to say, that's relatively impressive given that the Chiefs are bottom of the standings.
Yes.
Normally you would expect that all those players are some of the lowest rating, but I remember saying it on Tuesday, Worthy's name appears not just in rating, like we talk about his rating, it's not just that. He's 3rd best for KD, He's second best still for cost in the league. And he's only behind BG Man, who only played 1 game, so that stat doesn't really fully count.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, it's actually significant, the performance that Worthy has been putting in so far for the Chiefs. And just like that round, you know, he's been able to bring them through some big round victories.
All right, I'm going to give my mass another shot because I was a bit rushed last time. All right, Fisher and Vast, that's 4 kills, plus God Legions is 9 kills, plus Digitals is 12 kills. Worthy is on 13 kills. That is more than the rest of his team combined.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
What is that? Like, what is that? Man's been eating his wheat bix, I tell you what.
5 seconds remaining.
Apparently so. See whether he continues to get some sustenance from those wheat picks, Dev, because, of course, the game's not over. But Chiefs have got the lead. I guess that's something else we haven't mentioned for the first time this map. Chiefs have edged now out in front of Knights.
Yeah,
And
it's also 3 rounds in a row.
True, it is, yeah. So,
Really starting to build that momentum.
yeah, massive switch up in the way the map has been playing out.
See what God Legion can do on the roam here in Bathroom. This is an Aviator Games defense. Finally going to that more staple bomb site for the Chiefs. Good mute jammers, though, is going to make this a bit of a slow process, as will the Clash. I like the way that the Xkaris was used to really put some pressure on these roamers, but Worthy, SMG 11 in hand. Still eager to peek those long lines of sight.
I don't know what it is now, but I don't know about the viewers, but certainly watching an Oceanic team with a Clash and a player playing behind them just yells TK to me right now.
Especially when I feel like whenever something happens like that on Chiefs, it's like always digital involved.
Yep.
It's either the one TKing or the one getting TK'd, but let's try not to curse them too much. Worthy's hunting.
Oh, that was gutsy.
Yeah, well, I think Knights will be happy that they've taken down, by far and away, the hottest player in the server. Worthy's just been landing every single shot. That's only his 5th death in the map as well. Digital's going to peel back. Let's see how Knights can deal with this clash. They start to rotate 1 player over to study. Pretty common setup now for the Knights, but it will come down to this pre-execute right here.
Yeah, this is a really, really important part right now. Digital is trying to front up and just get all this info of what's coming towards Aviator. So let's just stall them out. God Legion in a pretty precarious position and study.
Oh,
and
wow!
he is absolutely
What is
dumped
that?
from below by Josh. There's no way God Legion was getting out of that.
What a play! Secondary shotgun to pop the hatch and take down the player. That is not something you see every day of the week. And a really nice play. 5v3 now for Knights.
Really good setup from them. Honestly, this is a round in the bag. If they keep going and keep going, they do. As Sage takes out Fisher Guy, and just like that, they just flawless the round. That was a significant answer to what happened in the previous round, and Knights tied up.
Well, there was a bit of a slow start for the Knights. Sometimes slow and steady wins the race. My God, that was very, very, very nice there from them. It came to setting up for that execute. They just found pick after pick, slowly tighten the rope. And yeah, if I'm Chiefs, I'm not going back to Aviator just yet.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. May as well give Trophy and Stat a try. But going back, you know, I guess the significance of the Knights winning that round is they just did break a 3-round streak from the Chiefs. So at least there is that gap in momentum. Digital 6-picking back to the clash again, and that's off the Kaid, so really not favouring the wall denial in that regard. And actually now quickly looking at their lineup extensively, they only really have the mute for the wall denial.
Play pretty aggro then, aren't they, with the Vigil as well in particular, something that God Legion has really been enjoying quite recently, and he's quite a sharp player usually. It is so funny though that like Chiefs is one of those teams where like the player that we're always talking about is Worthy, and he's not even the entry fragger for the team. God Legion's great, right? But at the moment, the scoreboard speaks for itself.
5 seconds to go.
That is true. Guess it's just the way that they have their kind of composition and their roles set up. Seems to always work out that way. I'm very curious to see how this pans out, honestly, because this is it's a bit of a different lineup from the Chiefs. Not very standard for a stat trophy defense. Looks like they really are going to, as you pointed out, probably play it a bit aggressive with Gold Legion on that vigil. Maybe just play a little bit elusive around some of those bottom sections of the map, maybe even the basement. I don't know, but I think it's going to present an interesting challenge for the Knights.
Quiet moment here as the Knights just continue to drone out this setup. Fast is just wondering when the right moment is to pull back and whether it's that time as of yet or if he should keep peeking. Very aggressive hold now. God Legion being the anchor to Digital. Dino starts to consider an entry here, but it's so dangerous walking into this crossfire.
Yeah, this is a very precarious position right now. Vast, taking a bit of damage. And just like that, that frag grenade is going to push Digital back here. This is a very pivotal moment in this round. If the Chiefs do not fail, actually get these kills of the two players sitting ducks in study,
Oh no.
this could be big.
God Legion, though, is making the flank work, but might not even matter at this point because the rest of Chiefs have chewed through the resistance. That gas as well from Fisher was making it so hard for Juicy to try and rush site. That said, 3-on-3.
Yep, Knight's very close to site right now. Sage looming, but he's going low on HP. This clash really proving deadly for him. Juicy's so keen to be able to peek out in stat, but it's never really that comfortable of a peek, is it, when you know you have to deal with Trophy. Vast is going to pull away. God Legion's still looming. So I'd say the Knights are still in a tough spot right now. 50 seconds left on the clock. You know, it's really going to be tricky for them to find this opening. They have to get a pick to be able to do so.
Chiefs
There
are
it
in
is.
some precarious positions, though, and Josh does punish God Legion through the drone hole. Frothing at the mouth for that one. Vast might be able to deny the plan. He does! Juicy tries to fake it, but it doesn't work. Caught in the back, though, but Digital switches over to the SMG, finds the kill. Just Sage left. He's gonna see Digital. He's gonna try dodge him because he can't tank many more zaps here. Otherwise, he will fall. Desperately tries to get around it, but there's just no way this is gonna work for him. He does have the diffuser and a chance to try and stick this, but it's just not gonna happen. Chiefs, Digital, insult to injury. And they break ahead once again, 5 rounds to 4.
You have to feel for Josh in that situation. There is nothing you can do. Like, there is just no way to make that ground on a clash in a very efficient way. And I would say I felt like he actually did quite a good job at closing some ground. But when he was low HP, it was really never going to happen at that stage. Really good defense from Chiefs. And look, they're going to skip over going back to Aviator. They've got Dining Kitchen unlocked again. Straight back to it. I think that's a great call because there was just something about Aviator games that didn't look great.
And get the call, this is a tactical timeout for the Knights. Probably the right time to take one as well, Raven. The last chance for Knights to win this in regulation and get the full 3 points that they would need. You know, it is kind of funny to think, but like, Chiefs are at the bottom of the standings. They only have 1 win. It was an overtime win against Invictus, which is looking like one of the better teams in the league at the moment. So credit to Chiefs for making that happen. But they have just been so damn inconsistent. Knights currently in 3rd on 7 points, which is a very, very nice place to be for them. And definitely, I think Knights, should they win this, I think they'll be one of the best teams, I guess, in the best position to take first place in that direct invite. We are tossing up at the moment, you know, where all the teams will eventually fall. I feel like Q-Confirm aren't going to be able to keep their momentum. Then it's just worrying about Elevate and Invictus. And Knights already have the head-to-head against both of those teams, which does put them in such a strong position. All they have to do now is worry about closing it out against some of these other teams that are not so high up on the standings, which is proving to be so much more difficult than Knights anticipated right here.
I think also, I believe Xenox did point it out on the desk, and I'm sure I'll get corrected if I was wrong, but if Chiefs do manage to take 3 points right now, that will put them on 5 points, tied with Order in 6th place. It would mean that it is only 4 points that separate 1st and 7th, which would be just absolutely nuts going into the last 2 Playdays, because it really would continue that vibe that really anybody still could take that spot to Mexico in 1st place. So Chiefs are on track for that right now, 2 rounds away, in fact. Is danger zone for the Knights. Time for them to try and step it up on this attack because they're desperate for it.
That's it. Both of these teams are really at a turning point in their season right now, facing off against each other. Chiefs in last place. If they don't win this, their chances of playoffs are potentially impossible. Knights, should they win this, I back them to take that direct invite, which means they won't even have to play playoffs. So it does come down to here. For Knights, though, they'll be looking for the 3 points, which means they can't falter at all from here on out.
That's absolutely right. So can they get this entry going? No Yana this time around, just something they've leaned on pretty heavily all stage. Even stage 1, I think, from memory, they were pretty heavy on the Yana pick, but no, not this time. They're going to go the IQ. Maybe a bit worried about God Legion's Vigil. Maybe that did create some significant issues with droning before, and this time they just want to bring the IQ to be a bit extra thorough.
Yeah, well, they did have the time and the tech to discuss this, right? To chat about what they're going to do, what they're going to use the IQ for. I'm sure that was one of the things that they chatted about there. They knew that they likely would be attacking Dining as well, which was the strongest site for Chiefs. Well, I guess not necessarily the strongest site, but it was the opening site for Chiefs. And, well, with how Worthy played, I think he's the main thing they'd be worried about. Digital trying to retain some map control of Livin. But he does fall off somewhat as Nice really start to take this south side and just waiting for that moment when they think it's possible for them to start executing this top floor and regaining the rest of this map control.
Yeah, looks like they have got this full top floor control, so going to the Vert now, they have so many breach charges at their disposal. 3 from Sage, 3 from Dino. Hayward still had 1 left in the pocket, so they can make a lot of holes on top of other explosives they might have in the pocket from Sage as well, and the Zofia, the secondary shotgun, you name it. They can get all the Vert they want right now, and they have a minute to do so. So this is going to start to get really testing for Chiefs. I dare say it's probably going to, cause some of them to drop down, maybe rotate around, and start to think about some flanks, because there's not going to be many positions safe on site to sit.
That's exactly it. Worthy's really feeling that pressure at the moment. He's actually keen to contest this. Worthy is dancing with the devil. We know he's a player that can make good on these risks, and that is it! What are you doing, Worthy? Once again, he finds the opening pick. It's Juicy who goes down. And now Knights have 20 seconds to recompose. This vertical game is nice, but only when you make it work. And Digital has been taken out. Worthy in such an aggressive position. Tanks through the smoke, and he walks straight past Sage, who takes him right down. Fisho for the trade. 10 seconds left. Traded back once again. Josh has made this winnable, but God Legion is still alive, and Hayward has to get this plant down. It's all on God, but Josh does finish him off. And Knights tie it up once again. Their hopes of taking 3 points at home are still alive.
I think that was an incredible round to watch play out. I tell you what, Dev, that was nuts. The Knights managed to pull through, but I would almost say, and I mean this in not a harsh way, but also they almost deserved to lose that to Worthy running across site when they had renovated the floor to the point it basically looked like there was no second floor. He ran all the way through site to deny the diffuser carrier in Laundry with 25 seconds to go. Like, that is just crazy. In a 5v5 as well. I tell you what.
That's the thing. Like, when there's 25 seconds to go, right, that's when your team is really communicating. Oh, crap, we've really got to push. All right, who's rotating down on Laundry? Who's staying above? And Worthy took advantage of that chaos. The fact that Knights was so preoccupied worrying about all that. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to take this risk. Worked.
It did. Definitely did. Look, I don't blame Chiefs for going back to it here, because they really had that in the bag. They kind of let it slip a little bit towards the closing stages, just lost a few gunfights and just some timings as well. Josh perfectly catching that rotate down the red in that 2v2 scenario. Very critical, because it did put that pressure on God Legion. But Yeah, again, this match is just continuing to deliver so close. They're trading these rounds back and forth so far in this half. Tracking towards what I would say is OT, but yeah, we'll wait and see.
Last time these teams clashed, it was in Ocean on Clubhouse. Knights took a 6-5 lead. Worthy got a 1 versus 3 clutch, and then Chiefs proceeded to win the game 8-6. We have talked a lot about Worthy, right? And I think he's very much on our brains from his performance in both OCN and here in APAC South. But another player who I think has slipped on the under the radar is Josh. Look at him, 16-6, plus 10. Really popping off, and that round certainly would not have gone the way of Knights. Chiefs would have match point now if it was not for Josh stepping up and covering in those final moments. I think he found a 3K that round. And as Chiefs reattempts, they'll be wondering what they can do. They were so close to getting that across the line.
To your point on Josh as well, I feel like he is just so constantly a quiet achiever. Like, it just doesn't feel like we often have big spates of talking about how he's going, and he's just so consistent for Knights. Like, I feel like every time I watch, you know, Josh is one of those high-performing players, but somehow he gets buried out by some of the flashy plays of Dino or Hayward. But either way, yes, he is having a banger. But Sage is somebody that is not quite having the banger. He's just lost that opening engagement to Vast. And that's going to put the Knights in the back foot already.
No trade as well. Sage is unfortunately a very hot and cold player, but he is the IGL. Ooh, this could be a really strong nade if Fisher didn't hear the pin. Direct trade between Vast and Josh, but things do start to fall apart. Fisher's got himself on the scoreboard as well, and Chiefs do take overtime. Or rather, to take match points. And that gets them one step closer to the 3 points and rocketing up the standings out of last place.
You're trying to leak the script here, Dev. You can't tell people it's overtime yet.
Mate, I literally was thinking the word match point and I said overtime. I'm just so excited. I'm anticipating palpably that we are going to get another banger 15-round game from these two teams.
Does definitely feel that way, but we are going to stat and trophy. And to remind you, round 9, the only time we've seen Chiefs defend it, they did win it. And it was pretty decent. It was a clutch from Digital and Vast. It was when we had Digital on the clash. Poor Josh trying to chase him down, couldn't do it. And yeah, look, doesn't look like they're going to stick the clash this time around, actually. Digital 6th onto the Aruni.
I really like that, actually. I think that's nice little bit of, I guess, debate for the Knights. But yeah, it does make you wonder, right? They were so good with the clash, so why would you switch it off? I guess they don't want to be too predictable. But for the most part, it does look like a very, very similar setup. The main difference I would note is the fact that Chiefs have leaned into a lot more shields in the 2 Vulcan shields from Vast, getting rid of the Maestro, which didn't end up being particularly impactful, at least not in terms of his utility, perhaps in terms of the gun from Vast. But yeah, maybe those Aruni gates are partly like what you were saying earlier. You know, Knights ban Malusi, so those Aruni gates can not just slow down these pushes, but also telegraph them, because of course those gates will get cleared before a player just walks through the doorway, or they'll walk through the doorway, take the risk of taking the damage. There's a little bit of a less extension, though, from Chiefs onto this south side. Knights going to take advantage of that early.
Yeah, Chiefs did have some very heavy study presence last time around. I think it was 3 players that were all kind of involved in repelling the map control taken from Knights in this direction. God Legion, a big part of it yet again. Also being on that vigil is going to mean that droning is going to be even tougher. Now, Vast very luckily does not walk into a big line of sight held by Josh there down near lobby. He's on the hunt, but Vast is just going to yeet out of there.
Josh is definitely a player to be scared of. 17 kills. Very likely, I reckon, if we go OT, man's going to drop a 20 bomb. I reckon him and Worthy both will drop 20 bombs if we go to OT. Same game so far. Highly talented players. God Legion, though. Oh, actually, it's Fisher who's the first to fall. What a pivotal kill for Chiefs. A long angle through the breach. And Fisher caught off guard in trophy. His shield must have been destroyed. That is a severe blow.
Yeah, those smoke babes really come in handy in that late round, tell you what. So missing those is going to be a bit damaging on top of the fact they are at man disadvantage right now. But Vast is just on the prowl. He senses there's a player right above him. In fact, he was literally right above him. He's moved into a different position, just maybe waiting for intel. But either way, this could be really important what impact Vast has here right now. If there is no impact made as the Knights continue to get this pressure, it could be a big deal. And there it is. Josh has found another pick onto Digital.
Overtime is brewing. Seems like Vast has no info and Worthy is put under the pump. There's almost nowhere he can sit safely. Oh, he actually downs Sage. And Vast does make good on his commitment to that roam. Diffuser is down cold on the ground. Worthy can confirm his kill 3v2. And now Raven, it looks like Chiefs might be able to do it without pushing overtime. God Legion, all he has to do is finalize this kill. And there it is for Chiefs. Once again, they take down the Knights. They rocket up the standings. And they win the match 7 rounds to 5.
Absolutely stunning, honestly, Dev. That was an incredible comeback on that last round in particular there for Chiefs. Really well done. And they've taken away the victory. And as we started Theorycraft enduring, now that is 3 points, that shoots them back into the standings to the point where they can make playoffs again. And obviously that's pretty important for very obvious reasons. But it just makes it all much more exciting about the way this stage could play out because, man, it is getting very tight here in APAC South.
That it is, and for the Chiefs, a big win, something that they have been looking for a long time here in Stage 2. They made playoffs in Stage 1, unfortunately had a fairly premature end to their run, but Knights have looked like the most dangerous OS team, especially here in APAC South, but they have been taken down a peg. Once again, it's the Chiefs who are always knocking on that door and really bringing the fight to the Knights.
They are, yeah. It's something about these two battling. It's becoming a pretty fun little rivalry to watch play out. But in this instance in APAC, Chiefs have jumped out into the win, and it's a bit scary for the Knights here. I mean, they've had a pretty decent stage so far, but looking at their win-loss, you know, they had 1 outright win, 2 overtime wins. Easily could have gone either way. You know, maybe they've just been scraping by. You know, Juicy alluded to at a previous interview that they've been having some issues. Didn't elaborate on what exactly that is, but they're trying to get through it. You know, the opportunity could pass by them. All of a sudden, maybe they might not even make playoffs. You know, there are so many teams that could easily jump them in the next 2 play days.
It's totally true. Knights currently in 4th, and while they do have their sights set on number 1, that might not be possible for the Chiefs, though. Playoffs may just be on the agenda. We'll throw it back to Rob and the boys to break down that game and get a cheeky interview.
Yeah, this is kind of absurd now, guys. From 4 through to 9 points, that is currently how the standings look. Now, of course, we'll have a look at the end of the night and see how that actually looks. But the fact that Chiefs have won this, and outside of overtime, they've taken all 3 points, guys, you can't understate how important that is for their season, but also for the pressure of every other team.
Yeah, that's a bit of a clutch, I guess, there from the Chiefs for their stage as a whole. They managed to continue their form in that head-to-head. As I said in the pre-show, for whatever reason, the Knights historically against the Chiefs find it really, really tough. And once again, they falter, but you cannot, I guess, downplay just how good of a performance that was from the Chiefs. I mean, you had Worthy in particular, like, clearly the star of that matchup. He was just having such a huge influence. We saw it on multiple occasions. We saw it there at the very end for the Chiefs to crawl back that round and manage to close it out in regulation. And those 3 points are just absolutely huge for their campaign.
Certainly is. Let's hear from Digital and kind of get the full effect as to how big this actually is. But, I mean, first and foremost, what is it with you and the Knights? What I don't understand. What is going on, Digital?
What is going on? I don't know. Like, we do have good matchups. They're a good team. I feel like, I guess they've got us figured out in a way. We've got them figured out in a way. So it's about who sort of brings something new to the table. Every time we have, you know, we have this matchup. So, I can't really, you know, pin it down to one thing. Well, I don't know. It's just they're a good team, and I think we brought it to them tonight, and yeah, managed to get the W.
Xenox?
Yeah, Ditch, congratulations. Big win. You guys obviously needed it, and based off the way the standings have been playing out the last couple of weeks, and now you're on 5 points, that's top 4 still alive with 2 play days to go. How's the team, I guess, you know, mentally? Are you guys feeling positive? Maybe even before coming into this game, like, what's the environment been like?
Environment's awesome. I don't think we've, like, I haven't been on many teams, but like I just know ours compared to a lot of other teams. I feel like our environment would be definitely up there. It's something that we sort of do, what's the word, like cherish and value, I guess, is like having a good team environment, and I think it boosts, you know, players' performances, and if everyone's, you know, positive, it does sort of, you know, help us play better. So no, that's something we value, and our environment is always positive, always.
Yeah, just to get your thoughts on the next Playday Did. You're taking a wild card, of course, and looking back, it's actually been quite a while since you've taken them on. Obviously, last time it was a little bit easier, some would say. It was a 7-2 for you blokes. Are you expecting, I guess, to mirror that?
You cut out at the end there, sorry. What'd you say?
I was just asking about wildcard. Last time it was a 7-2. You won pretty comfortably. Are you expecting it to be as easy this time, or next week?
No, I don't think so. I think last time we versed them, obviously they had, did they have Alex? I'm not sure. I can't even remember. Yeah. But they've had Milo now and Milo for a while, and they look like they're playing a lot better, as everyone would have thought so with a bit of time. So I don't think it'll be as cruisy as it was last time. But I'm excited for that match. Should be good.
Well, you know what? We won't hold you too much longer, mate. Was there any final words you wanted to leave the viewers with?
Just cheers for the support, guys. Cheers for tuning in. Thank you, Cheese. Thank you, my teammates. And thank you to you boys. Cheers for the cast.
No worries. It's our pleasure. It's actually our job. But anyway, Digital, we'll catch up with you next time, mate. It's always a pleasure.
It's my little tradition.
See you, mate. It's always grouse here on APAC South. Now, I guess looking forward, Xenox, you know, I alluded to it earlier. Bottom team is 7th Heaven on 4 points. They still have a game to play tonight, all the way up to Q-Confirm and Elevate on 9 points. This is an outrageously close season so far.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think that for the teams that are battling it out, I mean, it's really difficult for them, I guess, because you're just never sure, you know. It feels like the order inconsistency bug has bitten everyone. That's the way I look at this, and I look at the standings right now. And originally I thought Q-Confirm was going to run away with things. That didn't end up happening, and they got a big game actually against Order coming up very shortly. With Chiefs' victory over Knights, you know, again, that's another team that had that chance to go to the top. They couldn't do that, and you're seeing just so much inconsistency across the board, which can be either good or bad depending on how you want to view it. It makes it exciting though. It really does. And with the Chiefs, as I said, you know, you said they're playing wildcard next week. That's a winnable game. Suddenly they could be on 8 points if everything goes well. With then 1 game to go on Playday 7, that's 7th Heaven. Could they do the triple banger-matic to close out the stage, get 3 quick dubs, 9 points, suddenly you're on 11, and that's good for top 4.
Well, considering what you were saying in the games, Xenox, I'm surprised that your tune has changed as we've come into the analyst segment. But anyway,
Chiefs we're going to go on top, baby. Let's go,
yeah,
Chiefs.
For how long? For how long, Xenox? In your mind, it'll be one side, it'll be, yeah, they're all good. And then the next day, nah. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes maybe not so good. But anyway, we're going to go to a short break. On the other side, it's Order and Q confirmed. Don't go anywhere.